There was an interesting question on Reddit the other day, and I wanted to share it. It says, if a heart is a muscle, why doesn't it ever get tired of beating, but things like my arms and legs do? Which is a very interesting question, and it basically stems to why doesn't the heart really get tired at all? Now, to understand this, you need to understand that there's different types of muscles in our body. There's the skeletal muscles, there's the cardiac muscles, and then there's smooth muscles. Now, if we compare cardiac and skeletal, the major difference is really how they are really set up. The fundamentals are fairly similar. There's still actin and myosin that are pulling to cause a contraction, and there's still calcium that is involved. But cardiac cells are much leakier, especially near the SA node. There's a decrease in leakiness as you get down the heart. But the SA node, which is like a pacemaker of the heart, is kind of very leaky. And that leakiness causes automatic depolarization, meaning automatic stimulation. And that stimulation is what fires down and activates the rest of the heart. In fact, cardiac cells are actually linked together, unlike skeletal muscles. There's something called intercalated discs, which basically allows the electricity to pass through very quickly between all the cells of the cardiac cells. So, in fact, every time there's a heartbeat, almost every cell in the heart does get some sort of electrical stimulation. This is unlike skeletal muscles, where we kind of control how much of the skeletal muscle we want to contract. If I only want to move this finger, that's only going to send a certain amount of stimulation to that part of the muscle that's responsible for that finger. Another major difference is the amount of mitochondria are in the cardiac cells. Now say it with me, mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cells. And what do they provide? They provide ATP. ATP is essential for that contraction. And cardiac cells have way more mitochondria than skeletal muscles. And what that causes is a lot of ATP available for contraction. And it's needed because there's a constant contraction. Every beat requires contraction and relaxation. And in fact, that uses a lot of ATP. So there needs to be a constant supply of ATP. What's also interesting is that cardiac cells actually use fatty acids more than they do use glucose. And that causes a lot more utilization of energy. Fatty acids have a ton of stored energy in them. And the extraction of that energy causes a lot of ATP that can be used. And there's also a use with glucose, obviously, but also lactate. And if the heart is becoming hypoxic, not enough oxygen, there could be excess lactate. And that causes pain. If you know what angina is, heart pain, that's basically because of that excess lactate buildup, causing an acidic environment and pain in the heart. So now I explained that there is a difference in the way that there's conduction in the cells of the heart, as well as the energy use and what kind of energy that's in the heart. And in general, the heart is fairly efficient. It's like very efficient muscle in our body. So if you put those things together, you can see why the heart is very efficient at what it does. And you don't really want that everywhere in your body. Something that's constantly being activated, something that uses that much energy, it's just not really efficient. Humans are very efficient in enduric things, like we could run pretty far, but if all our muscles were cardiac muscle, that would probably not be a good thing. And that's why it's not everywhere in our body. So that's why the heart really doesn't get tired, because it has so much available ATP and it has so much blood flow through it. It's like one of the first organs to get blood out of after the aorta. So when you put all that together, you could see why the heart doesn't get tired. It has all the things that it needs, and it beats on its own. It's its own thing. The reason why our skeletal muscles get tired is because we're running out of ATP. We're running out of ATP that's used to relax and contract the muscles and to perform those cross bridges through the actin and myosin. So in that sense, that's why our muscles, like in our hands, get more tired and can hurt, unlike our heart. And obviously the heart can get hurt. That's what I explained with the lactic acid buildup. If it doesn't have the oxygen, it can't get the ATP, it's going to start producing byproducts that are going to hurt, and it's going to lead to killing of the cells. That's why heart cells can't really go out too long without oxygen and without blood flow and that ATP. So hopefully that answers that question, and please do let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. I hope you liked, and I hope you will subscribe. Thanks.